Okay, we're going to check out our piston and connecting rod assemblies here. Notice where the snap ring retainer is. So take that out. And then we're going to basically push that pin out. And check out our bore in here. And this is pretty good shape. It's got some wear right there that I don't like too much. It does matter which way the piston and connecting rods go in, so that's always something you want to make sure you look up in your manual first. Set that aside for a moment. You can see there's a hole there and a hole there. So basically this is where the piston cooling nozzle comes in. This one particular piston is not directional, but if it were, sometimes these will be offset just a little bit and you won't even see it. So you need to make sure that's right. So that pin should slide in and out nice and easy like so. You don't want to force it. Okay, to install your connecting rod. Another thing about this, notice that this is tapered, this end versus this end. So it's not just something you can replace. It takes some special tooling to measure it and all that stuff. Then when you put your snap ring back in, I always make sure that it's towards the bottom, like so. I wouldn't want to put it the other way. You see this bearing looks like total garbage, really. It's got all these pitting stuff in it. What that's from is from coolant or fuel dilution, one of the two. See how that one doesn't have any of that? It's in pretty good shape. So some things to look for. These ones are doweled, so you can't put the caps on backwards. But a lot of engines will have a identifying mark on which way they go. This one, they marked them when they took them out, so we're going to face this forward. I don't think it really matters on this one, but we're going to install it the way that it should, that it came apart anyways. Okay, this is a piston ring compressor. Basically closes like that. Have a pin that holds it in there. Once we get the piston installed, it goes like this. Notice right there it says 5.4 inch. Basically what we do is we check and see what size our bore is and go off of that. You'll notice this side is smaller than this side because it's a taper fit. You need to look in here, make sure there's no scratches and grooves and nastiness. Essentially, there's some dirt in here. That's what a lot of that is. Run my fingernail over it, make sure I don't feel anything. It's going to catch a ring and break a ring. So then we're also going to orient our piston rings. So I put one here, or I'm sorry, the top one will go there. Notice it's not on a thrust face or side to side. This ring, I'm going to put 180 degrees from it. My piston expander ring, so this is my compression ring, my scraper or intermediate ring or carbon scraper, and then this one is our oil control. There's a split on the opposite side from that in the expander itself that goes there, but make sure that's not lined up with any of the other ones, and I don't like to get it straight with either any of the thrust faces. Okay, we're ready to put our piston in. I've oriented my rings where they need to be. I'm going to put him here. Okay, now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to oil the heck out of it. A lot of guys will dunk it in a bucket of oil. There's many different ways. Just make sure you're using plenty of oil. Okay, and we're going to squeeze it together. Put our pin in. Make sure you don't put the pin in from the wrong side. You'll have a hard time getting it in. Okay, now that piston's ready to put in. Okay, I lube my bearing. Oh, I need to lube up my bore as well. This is number one. Said you can't really have enough oil in here. Okay, so we get that there. We got to make sure our rod is correct. I can see some marks, so I'm pretty sure it's right. When I put this in, I want it to be a nice fluid motion. Like so. Okay, same thing with my number 6 piston. Notice my dowels are up. That's the way that it came out, so that's the way we're putting it back in. Be careful you don't drag it down the cylinder walls. Same thing here. Nice fluid motion going in. You don't want to slam it down on the crank. We didn't. I just barely came up and touched it when I did that. It's probably hard for you to see that. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put our cap on both those. We did 1 and 6 pistons. I'm going to make sure my bearing didn't move on me here. This has got a mark on it, number 1, so I know it's right. I usually leave these together until I'm ready to install them. Then they don't get mixed up. Same thing, I'm going to put some oil on the bearing. Put the cap in there. I'll lube up my bolts a little. It says to use a bolt lubricant or thread lubricant. Engine oil will suffice most of the time. I'm going to run this up evenly. These torque to 61 foot-pounds and then they turn 90 degrees. So we'll have to get our degree wheel out. I always want to torque the tang side first, so that's the side I'm on right now. Okay. Then we'll mark it and come back and degree it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and degree our connecting rod bolts. So I'm going to start with the tang side first. We're going to go basically a 1/4 turn. I put a mark here and a mark there and they line up, so that's good. Okay, same thing down here. Already marked this one as well. Two and 5 and 3 and 4. Your connecting rod throw should be at the bottom of the throw rather than the top. Otherwise, you're going to fight getting them in there. Okay, make sure it's 90 degrees there. Same way as the other ones went. Push that one in. Okay, same way. Make sure it's straight up and down. This one's going easier than some. Sometimes the rods will fall when we do them sideways like this. We have to have somebody hold up the other end of it. Okay, same thing here. I've got 3 and 5 installed. I put the caps on, lubed them, I torque them. Then I got to torque turn them. So you want to torque the tang side first. It's not the end of the world if you don't, but it's a good app to get into. Come in here and mark. So 90 degrees would be there. And go here. 90 degrees would be here. There. Right there. 90 degrees, 90 degrees. We'll just turn them 90 degrees while we're done. You can put a mark on your socket, it'll help if you need to. Or you can take it off and check like I'm doing. There's my 90 degrees. Okay, as soon as I'm done with that, the last thing I want to do is make sure I have side play. Which I do, so we're good to go. That means we installed it right. Okay, we're going to put 2 and 5 in now. I went ahead and lubed everything up. Pretty much the same way it goes in. Make sure it's right, the connecting rod's parallel with the block. Okay, pistons are installed. Okay, same thing here. I'm going to make sure my bearing didn't move, which it didn't. Same thing with this. Lube it. Tang to tang always goes. Lube my bolts. You want to do the tang side first. I checked all my bearings and stuff obviously before I put this in. Torque it. Oh, I want to do the other side first. Okay. Mark here. And that's going to come to here, which would be 90 degrees. Mark here. Come to right there would be 90 degrees. Put a mark on my socket like that to help me locate it. And I can line that up exactly. You can see that's right where it should be. Yep, and there's that one. Also need to check for side play, which we have.